Hi and welcome. This week I'm going to be removing the rear wheel on my Benelli 1130 TnT. Now I don't actually have a reason to remove the rear wheel, but I did get a request on my front wheel removal video to show how it's done. So I thought, since we've got another 2 weeks of lockdown here and I really don't have that much to do, I thought I might as well take the rear wheel out of the bike and show you how it's done. First thing we need to do is remove these two end nuts. Now we'll just loosen these two pinch bolts. And the ones on the other side. Now we'll just loosen the chain by adjusting the eccentric here. I've just made up this special tool which I've used in the past. It's got some rubber or plastic on these two pins, and it should just be a matter of rotating that round to take the tension off the chain so it's now quite loose and can come off. Now we need to remove these two pins. Well, there's one on each side. They take an M4 screw thread, so just screw that in. You may need to wiggle this a little bit. So if you just wiggle it a little bit, and it comes out, and there it is. Again, we'll just screw this bolt in to the pin. And out it comes. Now we'll just lift the chain off. And tap the axle through. And now comes the fun part, putting the wheel back in. Now I've put the nut on the other end. I just need to line up the axle with the adjuster so that we can put that pin in. So I put the nut in the other side. I'm just going to rotate the axle around. So now I'll just put the pin in. Now I'll just put this nut on. Now we'll take this nut off again. Just needs a bit of a tweak, I think. And that pin is now in. Now, before you go any further, just make sure that the speedo sensor is not touching the bolts. This has the earlier type of speedo sensor, which is very easy to bend. So you just want to make sure that there is a reasonable amount of clearance there and nothing is touching. So just spin the wheel before you go any further. And if need be, you will need to adjust this if you've actually damaged it. And we'll just get the chain adjustment pretty close to where it should be. Now we'll just tighten up these pinch bolts. Okay, let's just do up these pinch bolts. Now we'll just torque this up. Just check the other side as well, just to make sure. Yep. Now we'll just double check everything, just make sure that nothing is touching. Just pump up the brake lever to reseat those rear pads back on the disc. Just make sure that everything is running true and straight. Well, that's how you remove and refit the rear wheel on a Benelli TnT. It's moderately straightforward, apart from the fact that being fitted with these eccentric chain adjusters, you've got those two locating pins on the axle. Now, the axle, according to the manual, does have a marking for left and right, but I certainly couldn't see it on my particular one. I just kept it in the same orientation when I removed it and refitted it. So if that concerns you, you should probably keep an eye on which end of the axle went in which direction. The only other thing that I did off camera, which I didn't actually show, was that I actually cleaned and lubricated the two eccentrics, the one at each side, and also the axle. And I also cleaned and greased the locating bolts, one on each side as well, before I torqued them up. And it's probably worthwhile also removing the pinch bolts and cleaning and greasing those before you torque them as well. Well, that's about it for this particular video. We're in the middle of a 1-month lockdown, I think it is. We've got another 2 weeks to go. So I am running out of things to do in the shed. Not riding my bikes means that I'm not breaking anything. But perhaps I can come up with a couple of other little jobs over the next 2 weeks to fill in my time and perhaps entertain you a little bit too. Okay, well that's it for this particular video, and I'll catch you next time.